Hi, I'm Keeley Hawes.
And I'm Gillian Anderson.
And we are here to talk about Netflix's Scoop.
With Harper's Bazaar. What made you want to do this film, Scoop?
I read the script and I thought I knew all there was to know about this interview. And actually I was completely amazed by all the stuff I didn't know and these amazing women and their story. What made you want to play Emily Maitlis?
Well, I didn't actually originally. It was too scary, but they convinced me. And so, I mean, she's an incredible woman, formidable, contemporary.
It's a huge responsibility, isn't it, taking on, I mean, real people generally.
Yes, who are still alive.
Who are still alive. And people who, because there's inevitably a family or, somebody that you are responsible and hated by often. I think it's much more difficult for you and Rufus because those characters are so, we feel like we know them so well.
Yeah.
I got off quite lightly with Amanda Thirsk because she's such a private person.
Yeah.
That actually it was difficult for me to even find out anything useful.
It's hard to find pictures of her on.
It's hard to even find pictures, yeah.
Tell me a little bit about Amanda Thirsk.
As I say, I knew nothing at all, and I think it's always interesting when you play whatever sort of character you're playing as an actor, you have to find empathy with them. I think you have to have an understanding of why they behave as they behave, why they make the decisions they make. It's quite interesting playing Amanda and being on the other side of the team, sort of being in Andrew's camp, and trying to find that sympathy with her. She's a brilliant, bright woman, by all accounts, single mother of 3 children, incredibly hardworking, very ambitious, worked very, very hard to get to where she's got in life, and she did what she did for the right reason, for good reason from her point of view, and encouraging him to give the interview because she wanted everyone to see him through her eyes.
Yeah.
And you can't blame her for that. Also, she didn't put the words in his mouth, he did that all by himself.
Yeah, it could have gone so well.
It could have gone so well. What was it like portraying Emily Maitlis?
As I said, it was daunting. I was very familiar with her, from the interview and having listened to her new podcast for a long time. She's so much of what I'm not. And so I was intrigued. All of it. She's extraordinary. Her brain is extraordinary, and her fitness routine is extraordinary
on its own.
On its own, and her miniskirts and stuff. And I understood why I was asked to. Like I got how there were some similarities in our facial features that might make it work, and I was surprised by what happened with a wig and a bit of black eyeliner. That was a relief once I saw her, and then the rest of it is just doing your best and
it is extraordinary
and hoping for the best and crossing your fingers
and everything made a huge
but so much. It's just a bit of tan and some black eyeliner, and it's amazing.
It's a little bit more than that.
But I mean,
a bit more work from
but fun challenge.
Yes.
Yeah. Have you ever met Amanda?
No, I haven't. I put a request in. It would have been very nice to have sat down and sort of almost get someone's blessing in a way, actually, selfishly. Sure. Of course, you want to say, I'm not doing this for the wrong reasons, And actually, I think it's quite a positive, not portrayal, because I don't know her, but I think it's quite positive for Amanda Thirsk, to have her story told in this way. I don't think anybody comes out of it badly, actually.
No, actually, I don't either. At all.
Including Prince Andrew, it's sort of quite a fair portrayal of all of them. But no, I wanted to meet her, but I think with various NDAs and things that have been signed, I'm not sure that she would have wanted to anyway, but I did. I did ask, but never mind.
I don't think I've ever played I've played a lot of women who have passed, and this was the first time playing someone who's still alive. We ended up coming face to face at a charity event, though, which was
more recently.
Yes, when we were in the middle of filming, actually, which was it's so bizarre because I'd spent so much time in my head with her and studying her.
Did you speak to her?
I did. We were introduced and I was overly friendly because I felt like we'd known each other for such a long time. I was literally like, oh my God, it's so embarrassing. She just, she was very sweet and gracious and yeah.
Yeah, she's incredible.
Yeah.
Right, brilliant.
Incredible.
Lady.
Yeah.
And she must be delighted. I mean...
She was up on the stage and Keir Starmer was getting to interview her. And he asked her what it was like to have somebody in the room who wanted me to stand up and act and show how I behaved, like, how I was her.
Oh God.
I know, yeah, that happened.
Oh God.
Yes, I know. Thank you very much. Fortunately, I said no.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah. Yes. And how excited were you to work with me on this project? Is clearly what that next question is.
Completely beside myself.
I should be.
Well, what a silly question. Is that a genuine?
Yes, it is a genuine. Well, no, it's how excited were you to work together on this project?
Oh, together?
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
I was really thrilled to work with you.
Same.
Yeah,
I feel like there's been things that I feel like on the one hand we've both put up for, and other things that maybe we would have been cast in the same thing and never were.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
and it's never happened. And you've worked with my husband, and you were in Cock and Bull Story, and I was in Cock and Bull Story. Completely different days. So that was a
like
little
guerrilla filmmaking at its
moment.
best.
Yeah, with Michael Winterbottom. But then, of course, it took 2 days to shoot the interview scene.
Gosh, was it over 2 days?
Well, it was. I think we were given 2 days, and it took.
Yeah,
under 2
I just
days.
remembered the one.
A bit of a blur,
probably,
yeah. It sort of went into the second day, and I just had this one line in the middle of about 15
That's always the worst, because then you're like, get in there.
Standing there thinking, don't start thinking about like anything else. And then came in with the wrong date when I did eventually have to say my line on the second day.
Well,
of course.
I forgot
just come out with like something completely random.
I remember first walking into that set and gasping. I couldn't believe how extraordinary it was, because they really did. They recreated that room, the West Wing, or what it was, the height, the girth.
And all of the cameras, the camera on a track, everything was set to exactly as it had been.
And also what I find amazing in the interview, because obviously a lot of people, most people know of this interview, have seen the interview. And we know that the film is about the interview, so there's no, you know what's going to happen.
Yeah, there's no spoiler.
There's no spoiler, except it is very much a thriller, and you do question at various points during the film whether or not it's going to happen, whether,
Totally.
It was very effective in that way. But also I found that in watching it, even though I knew that, even though I was there, even though I was part of the interview, when the interview actually started, I gasped in the thing. I don't know what Philip did, but there was something about the edit where suddenly you went from it being everybody in preparation to all of a sudden, whether it was like in the camera, in their eyes, in the interview. And I remember really
suddenly
being
you're
shocked.
completely in it.
You're in it, yeah. And we were there. I know. It's very, very funny.
Tell me, how did you react to Rufus, the lovely Rufus Sewell, and his physical transformation into Prince Andrew?
Well, I'll tell you that moment that I just described of walking onto the set and gasping and suddenly being in this room and realising, wait, there are all the cameras and plus our cameras, and this is where we're going to do it. In a few minutes, this interview that I have been working for weeks on, and we're about to actually sit down in those chairs and do it. And I had started filming as I walked in because I was so surprised. And I turned around and there was Rufus behind me, and I think I go, I think on camera. It was like, there he was.
It was so alarming.
And also because he was Rufus inside of Prince Andrew's face.
Yeah, which actually is a genius bit of casting by Nina Gold,
Yeah.
because he has this sort of likability and these funny bones, which
he does.
is just a gift and a given anyway, underneath.
Yeah.
That no amount of prosthetics can cover up.
And it definitely comes through, which is charming.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, but in that moment, Rufus's goofiness through this, you know, through the prosthetic
and the chin playing with.
Yeah, it was quite alarming.
I saw the process. I don't know if I think we were all sort of in and out of makeup in the week leading up to shooting, and so I sat next to him a couple of times at various stages through the whole thing. But it was much more alarming when he would step out of the trailer if he finished a bit earlier or whatever and was de-rigged and then came out of the trailer as Rufus Sewell again. And I just spent the day with him.
Right, I bet.
That was quite
night
alarming.
and day.
Yeah, night and day.
And day.
Yeah, it's amazing performance. What do you hope audiences will take from this film?
Well, the film is, you know, it's a behind-the-scenes story. I mean, it's Sam's story about all the steps that were taken at Newsnight in the acquisition of this interview. And so I think it's, you know, I find it fascinating always to go behind and see how things are made and crafted and how much effort and how many people are involved in making something happen. But I think almost above anything else, it's about independent journalism and the importance of independent journalism and keeping it alive, because, you know, those are the journalists who ask the difficult questions, the questions that none of us get to ask, and many of us are too afraid to ask. And so for me, it's not just a celebration of that in some way, but it's also, you know, it's really, you know, shouting out loud the importance of that in, you know, in society.
Yeah, and I love the fact that it's told, you know, I mean, obviously Rufus is brilliant and Prince Andrew had to be a part of it, but actually that it is told from the point of view of those women.
Yeah.
Feels very powerful.
Yeah.
I'm very proud to be in this film with you.
Me too, with you.
Thank you.
Well, that's why I dressed up today.
That's why I dressed up like you today.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for watching us interview each other in our velvet suits.